Welcome to Class 14 for English 3E. I am Jillian Percy. Welcome to Class 14 for English 3E, and I am Jillian Percy. Here are all the ways to reach me. Oh, there we go. The studio is 1-800-465-7144. If you want to reach me during office hours, 1-800-667-3703. You can fax me your work at 1-800-463-7852. You can email me your work at jillian.percy@nnecschools.org. You could rewatch this on YouTube at G. Percy Wassa. All right, so I wanted to talk about adjectives. We kind of skipped over talking about them at the beginning of this course, and I wanted to come back to them kind of quickly before we move on to anything harder in grammar. Adjectives basically describe nouns or pronouns. So I could say, Sally is tall. I could also say she is tall. So it works for nouns or pronouns. They modify people, places, things, or ideas. Adjectives have different categories. They can describe age, color, size, shape, purpose, numbers, origins, materials, quality, or opinions. However, one of the funny things about adjectives in English is that they have to come in a certain order. Let me show you what I mean. All right, so this is called the Royal Order of Adjectives, which I think is meant to be somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but generally in English, you have to say the adjectives in this order or it sounds a little bit funny. So first off is determiners. Determiners are words like the, and, that or this, those or these, his or hers. Some people don't consider them adjectives, but they often are functioning as adjectives in the sentence. So some people call them part of adjectives. Some people call them a separate category called determiners. Either way, they still have to be there. After determiners is the quantity or numbers. Words like 1, 8, many, none, some, 30, or thousands. Occasionally, some people consider these part of determiners. I wouldn't, but I'm just letting you know there's some argument on the issue. The next is opinion. Opinion was kind of tricky. It's things like terrible, wonderful, frightening, sad, hair-raising, peaceful, beautiful, delicious. Then comes size. Size can be things like tiny or microscopic, big, huge, gigantic, enormous, medium-sized, long, and short. Age, old, young, babyish, middle-aged, teenager, elderly, retired, ancient, new, and vintage. Shape can be things like circular, squared, elliptical, geometric, oval. Color, obviously things like reds, crimson, scarlet, azure, green, violet, or indigo. Origin often relates to country, things like French, American, British, Irish, Atlantic, European, Canadian, and Dutch. Material is like what things are made out of: wooden, plastic, china, metallic, stone, gold, velvet, silk, copper, bone, artificial, leather, and rayon. There's obviously more. I'm just kind of giving you some examples. The last one is called purpose. Purpose is a funny one. It's a word that is acting as an adjective, but it's paired with the noun so often that it's often kind of thought of as like a compound noun. Like if I say running shoe, you don't think I'm describing a shoe. You know I'm describing a particular type of shoe, right? A running shoe. Same thing with things like hound dog, pickup truck, vampire bat. Sorry, I'm not sure that's doing that. Picnic basket, soccer ball, computer desk. So those are sometimes called purpose nouns. They're telling you, purpose adjectives. They're telling you what the purpose is for that particular noun. Like I said, they're a bit tricky. Okay, so determiners. Wanted to talk about these because they were kind of controversial. Articles, a, and, the. Possessive pronouns, my, your, his, her, it's, our, their, and whose. Demonstratives like that, this, these, and those. Some people would say numerals like 1, 2, 3, 4, or ordinals, first, second, third, and fourth, or quantifiers, in other words, number type words like a few, another, several, much, many, a lot of, some, or a few. So what I found, because it's kind of an oddly controversial issue, these top three are non-controversial. They are considered determiners. It's just they could be determiners all by themselves or determiners as part of adjectives. These ones are sometimes grouped as a second type of adjective rather than simply part of the determiners. I don't think it matters what they're called. You just kind of have to know that they come, what order they come in. Okay. What are adjectives of opinion? I was initially a bit baffled by these because some of the adjectives they said voice and opinion, I didn't think of as voice and an opinion. They just seemed descriptive to me. It ends up being like a huge category though, because so many things are considered opinions. I later found another site that refers to them as adjectives that describe the quality of something, which I found a little more understandable. So if I eat the pizza, I think it's tasty. That's an adjective. Dad ate it and thought it was terrible. There's the adjective. Mom took a bite and says it's greasy. John ate 4 pieces and says it's filling. Now, I want to point this out because this is kind of interesting too. All of these adjectives are describing pizza, but only the first sentence mentioned pizza. In the rest of them, the pronoun is standing in the place of pizza. We know what it is because it's kind of like a little paragraph here, but the word pizza isn't actually even in the sentence. So this is a case where it's describing the pronoun it, and the pronoun it stands for pizza. So just because I know a lot of people don't think of adjectives as describing pronouns, but this is an example of how that would work. There's some more on that if you want to check that out. Got a lot on adjectives today, so I don't want to go too far. Adjectives of origin. I was kind of confused by this as first as well. It's usually where something came from. It's often capitalized. It's often a country, but it may be a region or a continent or a body of water. So for example, Pacific salmon came from the Pacific Ocean. Chinese vase, Swiss chocolate, German car, American cotton, European oil. Those are adjectives of origin. Purpose adjectives, those are the ones we talked about. They're the kind of the last ones, and they are said so commonly with the noun that it's almost become like part of the noun. Okay, so running shoes, sleeping bag, flower vase, frying pan, tennis racket, picnic basket, computer table, winter coat, oven mitts, gardening gloves, surgical mask, fitted sheet, rocking chair, toy boat. Sometimes people call these like a compound noun. That's a little bit controversial too, but just so you're aware, those ones have to be right next to it because they're almost part of the name of the noun. Grammar is really different from language to language. This is kind of one of the key things I've been trying to talk about. So if you grew up speaking English, this order is just something you instinctively follow. You just get used to it and your brain kind of learns the order, even if it doesn't know how to put it into words. However, different languages have other rules of order for adjectives or far less strict rules. They don't care that much. So in that case, you kind of have to learn the order as an artificial thing because there really isn't any particular rhyme or reason as to why we use this order. However, if you mix the order up, it will often just sound wrong to people, even if they can't put into words why it sounds wrong. So here's an example. If I said, I saw the green huge house, it just sounds off to me. You have to change it because size comes before color. I saw the huge blue house. That works. This sentence, it's so out of order, I felt like I couldn't even tell what was going on. I saw the silk French beautiful cloth. We just don't put the adjectives in that order. We say, I saw the beautiful French silk cloth. All right. However, there are a few exceptions to this. One rule, and this apparently actually seems to cross different languages, it takes priority over the normal order of adjectives. I'm not sure of the exact name of this rule. I saw some people call it the tic-tac-toe rule, but anyways, basically in words that are spelled the same except for the vowel, we say the ones with certain vowels first. And it kind of depends where we say it in our mouth. So I words get said before A words and A words get said before O words. So tic-tac-toe, but we never say toe-tack-tick. Other examples would be flip-flop, ping-pong, tick-tock, crisscross, hip-hop, bing bang. There's also one where long E or double E comes before O as well. Teeter totter, bebop. It's not quite as common. Now, why does that affect how we say big bad wolf? mean, technically, big and bad are not exactly the same, but they are three-letter words that start with the same consonant. And in this case, the vowel rule seems to trump the order rule, because technically bad should come before big, right? We instinctively want to say the vowels that we say at the front of our mouth before we say the vowels at the back of our mouth. I don't know why. It does, like I said, seem to cross languages, though. It's common in multiple languages, but it's generally happening when the words are almost the same. And then your mouth just automatically wants to say the A or the I ahead of time. Breaking the order on purpose. There are occasionally times when people will deliberately break the order because they want to stress a particular adjective or a quality about the noun. The order can also change depending on the meaning of the word, because some words have multiple meanings. For example, if I say wooden, well, wooden could mean a type of material, but wooden could also mean a type of facial expression, which could be considered more of a quality or an opinion. So I could say the old wooden mask hung on the wall because age comes before material. But if I was talking about a person and an expression, then I could say the wooden old face barely moved as he cried soundlessly. I'm describing the quality of his face, which will come before age. So that's going to be mindful of as well. I don't think it happens often, but it is there and could be confusing if you weren't sure. The other big controversy seems to be, do we use commas with adjectives or not? Generally, what I found was two adjectives or more that come from the same category should have a comma between them. So disgusting and smelly are both from the category of opinion. So we put a comma between them. The disgusting, smelly pair should get thrown away. But if the adjectives are from different categories, we aren't supposed to need a comma between them. So for example, the delicious yellow Welsh cheese had just arrived at the shop. Technically, I don't need commas there. And you'd never put a comma right before the noun. Having said that, if I wasn't sure, if I was a little bit confused, I would probably err on the side of caution and just add a comma. It looks better to me mentally, but that is just my opinion. I'm telling you the rules. I'm just saying, generally, the comma would never look wrong to me, even if it was. And this, without the commas, does look a little bit off, but that is apparently the official rules. All right, leaving commas behind. We are, oh my goodness, I think I did not quite get this all up. I apologize. I was trying to use my Google, but Google was slow to thing. Okay, so yesterday we talked about the resume and the cover letter. Hang on, I'm just gonna eliminate something here to make this work. There we go. Okay, today, oh, I didn't pull in how to search the internet. I apologize. Okay, there is an article in Making It Work called How to Search in the Internet. It's on page 150 to 152. And I apologize, I forgot to summarize it today. It is important. Please be sure to look at it. One of the key things is the idea that you can't just take anything you find off the internet and assume it's 100% reliable. Some resources are more reliable than others. So if I was looking at medical information, for example, I would be looking at, say, hospitals or doctor's office information rather than just going to somebody's blog. So if you're looking for job information, you want to look for really reliable sources like job boards, government information, that kind of thing. So be careful where you research. That's one big issue with the internet, okay? The other thing is you have to make sure that you keep track of where you got the information. Because the internet changes constantly, the best bet is usually to save a copy of the URL of where you were. And some sources will say that you should say what day you grabbed it on, because maybe they'll change it in a couple of days and it won't look exactly the same. Anyways, the big culminating activity, which is what we're going to spend most of our time talking about, is worth 60 marks overall. The first part is worth 20 marks. The second assignment is worth 40 marks. So you need to read this to be able to do this well, although we do talk a lot about some of the sites that might be useful to you, okay? So The big giant assignment overall is called a career of interest. It is good to know that there are a variety of career options that you can pursue once you've graduated from high school, if this is what you're interested in. Depending on your interests, needs, and skills, you may choose to enroll in a college program and work towards a certificate or diploma of some sort. Perhaps you may have a desire to go off to university somewhere and work towards a degree. Perhaps you might like to participate in some sort of training program that could be completed in less than 1 year. You may not want to leave your family and community to attend a school elsewhere and instead try to get yourself a job at home. The decision is yours to make. I'm going to add, these days, there are a lot of courses being offered online. You may still want to attend college and university and be able to do it right from your home community. So don't think that you have to leave if you want to do college, okay? We all have decisions to make in life, and those surrounding education should be at the top of the list in order to be successful with whatever we choose to do. It is strongly recommended that you at least do your very best with your courses while still in high school and graduate with your Ontario Secondary School diploma. The fact of the matter is that there's generally some good competition among people for the best jobs out there, and you need to be prepared. Doing well in this English 3E course will no doubt make a real difference towards your success in the workplace that you find or will find to have found yourself in. Throughout this activity, you will discover the variety of career options open to you, the amount and type of school required. You will also be doing a little bit of research at your learning center. And they give you a little note, I'm not sure why this is important to them, but I'm going to say it anyways. A career is a term used to cover related types of work. Examples of careers are hospitality, aviation, and education. An occupation or job, on the other hand, refers to something more specific. Examples of occupations are front desk clerk, pilot, and elementary teacher. The website below contains a variety of information about jobs and careers. So this is the website they're talking about, basically the job bank. We're going to kind of look at that a little more carefully. All right, so assignment 1 is called a career survey. They want you to go to the website, job bank, and find the page that follows. When you find this page, you check out and complete the 3 quizzes here. There are more quizzes on the page, by the way, but the top 3 are the ones they want you to do. Once you've done so, you're to write a paragraph with at least 5 sentences to describe a little about what you've found. Now, if you want to bring this up exactly, here's the exact URL that will bring things up. It isn't at the top of the page. So if you first come on there, it'll look like you're on the wrong page. You have to scroll down a little bit and then it's there in the middle. You may want to create an account so that it will save your results. It just takes an email address and then you've got to answer a few questions, but it's worth doing because you're going to be doing the assignment on things. You might want to be able to save things or download stuff. Let me see if I can pull up what I was looking at. Hang on a second. Okay, so here it is. Here's the job bank, and you can see, oh, the quizzes aren't anywhere in sight. But if you scroll down, there's the ones they want you to do. There's other ones too. There's some personality ones that look like fun, but they aren't required for this assignment. So I would really suggest going in order. I initially just did this one first, but then it seemed like it didn't save things. So you go on here, you would take the quiz. I'll just kind of show you really quickly. I won't do the whole quiz. And it asks you questions, and you need to decide whether you're not interested at all in doing that task or whether you're extremely interested. If you don't really care either way, pick the middle one. So doing the same task for a long period of time, depends on the task. I'm going to put in the middle. Building things or repairing them, somewhat, but not a whole lot. Exploring a subject from different points of view, yeah, I'm pretty interested in that. Finishing one job before you start the next, nope, not really. Directing people in their activities, pretty interested. Maintaining a steady pace, no, I'm terrible at that. Doing trial runs and applying changes, no, that would also drive me crazy. Being responsible for organizing an activity and planning something for everyone to do, nope. Helping people solve their problems, sure. Being responsible for a project or activity and having to look after many different details to complete it, not so much. So after I do all that, I would click on the next thing and it would pull them up. After it's all finished, then it will give you some examples of some jobs that would be interested for you. I'm going to go to the really quick quiz and kind of show you. Hang on a second. Career quizzes. Okay. So work activities. Take the quiz. I'm going to go through it really quick just to kind of show you what's going on. Okay, so first of all, do you prefer working with information, working with people, or working with things? Whatever you click on first is going to choose as one. If you don't like it, if you made a mistake, hit that little reset button in the corner. Okay, so working with information, working with people. I would say for me, working with people, and then probably working with information, and then working with things. And you can see up top, they ordered them. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. So that's the first question. And then they kind of ask you some questions about, so that's why this is the short one. How do you like to work with each of these things? So data and information is kind of the same thing, okay? How do you prefer to work with data or information? Now you can only pick one. You can't pick two. It'll just jump away. So let's say I like to examine and evaluate existing information from different angles by identifying the underlying principles, facts, or reasons behind it. For people, you could also just go, I would rather not work with people. If you're the kind of person that just likes to work by yourself, that's fine. I would like to transfer knowledge to teach or train people. And things, the things one is funny. Because to me, some things like art and stuff would be in here, but they didn't mention things that were kind of arty, unless maybe you're picking this one. So I ended up just choosing I'd rather not work with things. If they'd had art stuff, I would have picked something different. Okay. So then it decides, there's stuff on instructing or consulting people, analyzing information, and then no physical or manual work. Now, if you go here, it lists a bunch of occupations. And over here, it tells you what level of education you need to do it, which is kind of cool. So let's say I picked no formal schooling. Then it's going to pull up ones that listed that first. And I think it won't list any that don't have that as a possibility. Okay. So that if I wanted to go through something like that, it would go through to another job description, and it would give me some more information. So this is why you might want to make a little account with them, because there's a lot of information that you could be looking at. Hang on. Now, let's say I'm going to have high school. Okay, so now things that don't need schooling might still end up showing up, but you can see the lists changed a little bit. And if I hit college, it's changed again. And if I hit university, it will change again. So it's kind of an interesting little concept, because it really changes what jobs show up depending on what level of education you got. So that I thought was really, really cool. Okay. Hang on. This is my suggestion. They kind of say write a paragraph for the whole thing. There's a lot of information there. I would say basically take the quiz, look at things, write a few sentences down, and then take the next quiz. Okay. I just think it's a lot easier. Otherwise, that's a lot of information to remember. Okay. Think about things like, what did it say? What did you notice about what they were talking about? Was there overlap in the different quizzes? What sort of jobs did they suggest that interested in you? Okay. Like they're going to mention a lot of jobs. There's no way you're going to be interested in all of them. And how much schooling did those jobs require? I already talked about the sorting. There are the fun personality quizzes on top. You do not need to include those, but if you just happen to like taking fun quizzes, those will be there and might be fun to take, but you do not have to take them for the assignment, okay? Having said all that, you do have to finish part A or part 1 of this assignment before you go on to part B, okay? Part 2 or part B is not going to work unless you've finished all of part A, okay? The entire point of part 2 is that you research a specific occupation to find out more about what you want to do in the job, what training's required, what kind of skills you need, all that kind of stuff. So you need to use part A to decide on one occupation. Keep in mind, this doesn't mean that you actually have to do it. It's a school assignment. It's just kind of trying to get you into the habit of knowing how to do research. You're not committed to life for whatever you decide here, okay? All right. So assignment 2 is called Who I Would Like to Be, and this is worth 40 marks, so it's quite a long one. Here is the assignment. You are working your way through high school and hoping to graduate in the near future. Also, you may already be working in a job, either full-time or part-time, and planning to stay where you are for some time to come. That'd be your decision to make. Assume, however, that you're not working at the moment and that your plan is not only to graduate from high school, but also someday to graduate from a college or university program or some other training facility. You may have an idea of a career or occupation that really interests you, but you don't know much about it, about what's involved in that right now. You're now going to search for some information on this career of interest and write a report of what you find. To do this, you're going to check out some websites, such as the one we mentioned on page 9, and any others you may come across, and write a 3/4 to 1-page report on what you're able to find. You're looking at what kind of education is required, available locations, the length of any program, like for training, costs, and other details. Also, if you're able to print out some information on your career choice, please include these with the report. The following are some sample pages from Confederation College's website. So here is what they pulled up. I'm actually going to show you a better one. I'm just pulling it up because that's what you're going to see in your unit. And report requirements. You are to do your best in summarizing the information you're able to find. The evaluation, 5 marks goes to your title page. Make sure to include a graphic, like a picture or a sketch. Include your name, your course, and the date. 15 marks. I'm sorry, that sounds like it's all one thing. 15 marks is for the draft or the rough copy, and then 20 marks is for the final copy. Those are 2 separate things. If you only hand me in one, you won't pass that assignment. You have to hand me in one rough and one final. Please note, other sources of information useful for career planning and for the job search process include certain print resources such as books, newspapers, and magazines, which might be found at your learning center, the school, band office, and other possible locations around your community. Also, there are internet websites, which I'm going to discuss some more, that are useful when doing career planning or a job search, and they are worth checking out. People who are working around your community might be a valuable source of information. So if you're interested in like becoming a nurse, go down and try and have a conversation with one of the nurses and find out more about what it involves. If you're visiting Sioux Lookout and have some time to spare, a stop at the Sioux Hudson Employment Services would be good. By the way, this is a website now. I don't know if it was at one point an actual business. You do not need to stop anywhere. You can just find it on the website. They have not only the latest in job postings, but also resources to do with cover letter writing, resume writing, and interview strategies. The various aspects of career planning and the job search process will be available should you need it. This is an excellent website, and I definitely use it myself during my own job search. And this little item was in the book as well, your unit, some different responsibilities on the job. And here it talks about student summer job action. I don't know if any of that would be relevant for us, but they included it, so I have included it as well. All right. So some places that you might want to check out. 7 Generations is kind of a newer one. They offer post-secondary programs. They also offer the high school diploma and training for employment. You might want to look at some of those. If you go there, here's an example of what you might see. It lists the program down the side, the location where they offer it, what discipline or field it's in, what kind of credential you can earn, whether it's part-time or full-time, and next intake. Next intake is like, when are they next having a class on that? Okay. I selected discipline just to see what came up. I picked skilled trades, and here are some of the skilled trade programs they offer and where they offer them. Okay. Here's the kind of certificates you get, certificate and a diploma. They're all offered full-time, and here is when they open up. Okay. If I click on one of those choices, like if I click one of these items, then what comes up is a whole bunch more info on that particular program. So I picked a building construction technician. It tells you that you can get a 2-year diploma in just 42 weeks. It tells you what you're going to learn. Here's the start date. Here's the 3 semesters. This is offered in Fort Francis. You would get your Ontario College diploma. Admission requirements. You have to have a secondary diploma, and you have to have taken English 4C or English 4U or the equivalent, or take the mature student test. Down here, it talks about the tuition fees. And over here, it tells you what courses you would take each semester. Here are some possible careers that use that course. Okay. This is the second half of the page. Oh no, this talks about funding. I'm sorry. I was worried that the tuition thing might kind of freak people out a little bit. So they also tell you how to get funding. So OSAP is one place you can apply to get some funding. The Post-Secondary Student Support Program is another place that you can get funding, although it only works for these participating First Nations. Some band offices offer money to people who are going back to school. But anyways, I wanted to let you know that this is here. You don't need to include this in your research. I just wanted to make sure it was there so people didn't get freaked out and maybe go, well, that's too expensive, but you never know because there's all sorts of financial programs, right? All right, Confederation College is another place you could try. The Sioux Lookout campus. Here is now what comes up when you do a search. And isn't that really so much user-friendly? It's great little pics. It tells you right there whether it's full-time. This one is part-time. If you click on it, you'll get a whole bunch more information. So let me show you what. Oh, okay. So up here, you have areas of interest, the program, campus, credential, all that. I picked skilled trades to see what would come up. So here is what comes up for skilled trades. You can see they have different skilled trades than come up for 7 Generations. 7 Generations had a lot of culinary arts courses. These guys have a whole bunch of other things: automotive service technician, carpentry, industrial electrician. Now, some of these are actually apprenticeships. So be mindful. It's not necessarily a course. That is a little bit different. So when I went to carpentry and renovation, there's a spot where there's a little download button, and up comes this when you do that. So it talks about the important details. It talks about your admission requirements, what kind of employment opportunities, what courses you would take, and who to contact for more information. Okay. Now, if you want to look at other options besides just those two, those kind of are the main ones in this area, but there is a site called ontariocolleges.ca, and it tells you the Ontario colleges all across Ontario, so anywhere. And keep in mind, you don't necessarily have to move there. A lot of colleges since COVID are offering courses online. So this is something to look at, because maybe there's a course offered that you could take online that isn't normally offered in our area. So it's definitely worth taking a look at. So when I went here, I think I clicked on programs, and then there's so many programs. So I listed skilled trade, and here is what possibilities came up as skilled trade. And then you click one of these options. This time I clicked cosmetics, because I hadn't seen any courses for that before. And here is what came up. This is not all of what came up, by the way. There is more. Some of them are closed. You can see down here, 25 are closed. Some have a wait list. 13 are open right now at this moment. And they're not all exactly the same. Right here is an aesthetician. Here's hairstyling. Here's cosmetics. Here's spa management, which sounds kind of cool. And each one tells you what's the college, where's the campus, because some colleges have more than one campus, okay? Whether it's full-time or part-time, when their next intake is, whether they still have open spots, and then it lists the website, and you could click on the website to learn more. So this is kind of the big old clearinghouse for all of Ontario if you are interested in some things that aren't being offered in this area, this is a great resource to find out what else is being offered. And if you go to program delivery, it will tell you whether it's online or in person or whether it's blended. So that's worth taking a look at as well. Okay, another place that you can look for job information. Most newspapers will offer job ads both in their print and in their digital versions. Many businesses, especially bigger ones, will have a section on their website letting you know what jobs are available and what qualifications you need, what the job duties are, and their salaries or wages. Sorry, just try not to cough in your ear there. Many municipalities, like cities or towns, will offer a careers section on their webpage where they post what kind of jobs the administrative arm of the city needs or is looking for. Sometimes cities or regions may offer job search sites for the people in their area. For example, here we have the Sioux Lookout Hudson Job Board. Nonprofit organizations like Red Cross or Salvation Army may list job opportunities on their websites as well. Some of these might be volunteer jobs, but it would still give you information. Universities, schools, and colleges all usually have a section where they list what job openings they have. And that would not just be teachers, by the way. That would include things like custodians, administrative assistants, reception clerks, filing clerks. So sometimes we think about like just the teachers, but it takes a lot more than just teachers to run any kind of a school, okay? Some professions may have job sites that are totally dedicated just to people in that field. So there are a couple of websites I know that would just be if you were looking into teaching, right? There are also Canadian-wide job search tools, which I'm going to show you some examples in a minute. However, these are huge. They can often be difficult to find useful jobs unless you live in a large city. However, they will give you ideas of what are typical salaries and job duties for different job titles. It can also give you a good idea of what jobs are in high demand. So, for example, if you go on one of those sites and you see all sorts of jobs open for finance clerks, then you know, hey, there's a lot of work out there if you want to become a finance clerk. The opposite is also true. If you don't see any jobs listed for the field you're interested in, maybe that job market is flooded and it's hard to find jobs in that field. I know when I graduated as a teacher, the school in my area graduated 700 teacher graduates, and the school board in that area hired 10 of us. That was it. So that was a job market that was kind of flooded in that area. So here are some of the job sites. Indeed, Monster, Simply Hired, Workopolis, LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Aluta, and Career Builder. These are the actual URLs. They'll bring you to the different sites. There's all sorts of tools. Let me just kind of see if I can, let me see if it'll let me click. I'm running close on time, but let me see what I can do here. Oh, it won't let me do it. Let me just see. Hang on, let me try another way. Okay, hang on a sec. All right. So find jobs, company reviews, salary guide. So let's say I wanted to find a job as an administrative assistant, right? And it pulled up my my area, which is great. And maybe what if I didn't want to look in Sioux Lookout? Maybe I wanted to look in Dryden or Kenora. Well, you would just put that there instead, right? And then see what happens. So nothing came up. So what if I made like Thunder Bay, bigger city, right? Oops, sorry. There we go, Thunder Bay. Oh, here we go. So a whole bunch of stuff came up. And you can see it tells you whether it's full-time, tells you some of the job information, like in terms of what pay it is. If you click on it, hang on. Okay, so apply the company site. Usually if you go there, you'll see a lot more information about what kind of qualifications you need, what kind of job duties you would have. But you noticed when we looked for Sioux Lookout, nothing came up. Having said that, I'm willing to bet if you went to, like, say, the hospital website or one of the school websites, they probably are looking for administrative assistants. So this will give you lots of information. If you are actually doing a job search, it might not be as helpful though. Okay. The big thing I find is helpful is it does give you some idea sometimes of what jobs make, because some places will list the salary and some places won't. And they'll say, well, why don't you name me what kind of job salary you want? And if you've never seen what that job makes, that can be a bad moment, because you don't want to list a price way too low, because then they might give you that and you could be earning like 20,000 more. At the same point, you don't want to list something so high that they're like, oh no, we can't afford you. So these kind of things where they list how much money you can make can be really, really useful going into a job interview. Okay. All of these sites have their own little quirks. You'll have to play around with them a little bit, but you can definitely get information for your research project on those sites. Okay, how are we doing? Okay, some other good places to find occupational information in Canada. That job bank site that we were at to do the career quizzes has all sorts of information about stuff across Canada. It's a great place to look. There's also one here for employment information just in Ontario. Again, different places, the cost of living is higher or lower. So like the cost of living in Toronto is insane. So if you look up a job in Toronto and they're offering, I don't know, $60,000, and that sounds great, but then you go in Toronto and you can't find an apartment for less than $3,000 a month. Oh, well, it wasn't actually great for Toronto. It'd be great if you were in Sioux Lookout. So that's something to keep in mind when you're doing any kind of job search anyway. But this gives you information about the job search. This is an interesting little site. This is a Canadian national federal site, and it talks about how they describe and classify different types of information of employment. Sometimes the job titles can be really just slightly different and yet be a completely different job. So, for example, a pharmacist and a pharmacy assistant are two completely different jobs, right? One has a lot more responsibility, requires a lot more training, makes a lot more money. So this is a great job to, a great little site to find and go through for interesting things. Let me see if I can kind of show you real quick. We're running close on our time, but I think I've said almost everything I need to say even too. So let me see what I can do here. Go, close it, close it, close it. Okay. So you can search by job title. You can search by the NOC code. That wouldn't really help for us. But let's say you wanted to look at banking, insurance, and financial clerks. Okay. Oh, didn't like that. Hang on a second. All right. Okay, there's a career handbook, which gives you information to search by job title. Let's see if it'll let me do it. Oh, well, still won't. Find the subgroup of bank clerks. Oh, I'm having trouble. I know I won't be able to mess around with this anymore, but it is a nice little spot where you can mess around with things, and it will tell you information that's useful to your career. Hang on a second. Okay. The other one I wanted to mention, because this was kind of all the rage for the longest time, is a book called What Color is Your Parachute? This is a job hunting book that really revolutionized the process. Okay. At one point, Richard Bowles put out a new one every single year. The most recent one I could find is 2021, but that's really only 2 years ago. The information in there is still going to be fairly up to date. You don't need to look at this for your assignment, but if you are looking for work and you're like, I don't really know what I want to do, nothing quite sounds right, I don't think there's even a job in the kind of things I want to do, this is a book that you might want to look at. You can get it on Kindle, and it will have all sorts of information about figuring out what kind of jobs you want, and also all sorts of information about how to do the job search process. I found this so useful when I first graduated and was in my 20s, because I just had no idea how to do it. And I was also super shy, which sounds funny now, but I was. And I found the information here was just so helpful. So you don't need it for your assignment, but if you are job hunting, this is a great book to use. The other thing I was thinking about was the process of doing the research might change your interest in the job. So let's say you start off interested in nursing, say, but as you begin to look into the job and you're doing your research, you realize, maybe that job isn't quite what I was thinking of. It's not quite what I expected. The hours are longer, pay is less, or it's going to require more schooling than you want to do, or the job duties sound a bit off-putting. It is totally okay to still do your report on this job. It is also totally okay to report that some of what you found makes the job sound like maybe you have some concerns about whether you would really like to do the job. That's the whole point of doing this research project. It is way better to find out now that that job doesn't appeal to you rather than after you've spent a lot of time and money doing the training for a job. The assignment is still totally valid and all your research is still legitimate, even if your interest in the job has changed. You don't need to start fresh with a whole new job, okay? I want to point that out because sometimes people forget this is an assignment. I'm going to mark it. Whether you like the job you researched or no longer like the job you researched, that doesn't change all the hard work you did. Okay. So don't let that impact you. I have a friend who started going into nursing, which was a 2-year program for functional nursing. And about 1 year through, they went, you know what? No, I don't like this. I don't like the people. I don't like the kind of work. And she ended up going into the field personal support worker. Still makes lots of money, still totally happy. But maybe if she'd done research ahead of time, she would have known, oh, wait, this really isn't the job for me. Okay, so that happens all the time. That's a good reason to do this project in the first place. I want to kind of go back a little bit since I've got a titch of time, just a little tiny bit. Let me see if I can pull it up. Okay, I want to grab the Ontario Colleges site. It's because there's so much there. Hang on a second. And it's such a useful site. Ontario Colleges. Okay, you don't want, if you're going to look, you don't want this part. This is kind of their new site, and then they kind of refer you somewhere. Hang on a second. Find a program. Let me do that. Oh, here. Okay, so this is the site. You can look by programs. You could also look by college. If there's a college, like say in Thunder Bay, that you wanted to go to, you could look just at what they offered. I'm specifically pulling up programs because that's kind of what we're talking about. So I'm going to pick a different topic this time. Let's say I wanted to go into health, food, and medical. Oh my goodness, there's so much offered. There's things like dental assistants, gerontology, nutrition, opticians like eye doctors, personal support workers, biotechnology. So let's say I decide I want to go into becoming a paramedic. Ooh, that sounds exciting. Let me see here. It tells you some general information. Okay. And then it gives you the program search. And here is where you can really start to play around, right? Like, okay, I'm going to pick English. I don't want a French one because I don't know the French. Maybe I know I want to start at a certain time. Like, okay, I know I want to start during the fall. Okay, great. Program delivery. Here's a key one. So here they only offer full type, regular, collaborative, post-diploma, secondary. Let me see. I'm going to try and pull off the start date. Okay, and see, will it? Oh, they're all closed. Okay, hang on. Usually that will also tell you whether you can do it online because there are some things that you can do online. Now you can see here, oh wait, hang on. Paramedic alternate delivery. Okay, I want to see if I click on that. Oh, perfect. Okay. So up came, here we go, 2 academic years. It's a diploma, it's post-secondary, it's highly competitive, yes. The program status is closed at the moment. That just might mean they're full up. Maybe they'll open up again in January. And if I click on it, you'll see that a whole bunch of information will come up about taking the course at that college. And one of the interesting things I found is sometimes a course or a program with the exact same name might be very different at one college compared to another. So it's worthwhile checking out different colleges to see. Now, alternate delivery. So I was trying to see if alternate delivery meant. Okay, so alternate delivery. Okay, here it is. This is held on alternate weekends like Saturdays or Sundays, and you can participate in live lectures through online delivery, weekday evenings and weekends on campus, and interact from the comfort of your home. So they're offering this course deliberately for people who already have a job and are going to want to do most of their coursework on the weekend. So that's what I was talking about in terms of there's a lot of changes made since COVID where there's things that are being offered now that are available to us in like remote regions that might not be available before. So let me see. Courses. Yep, lists all the different courses. Hang on a second. And if you look at these and think, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing, I totally want to do that. Or you look at those and go, oof, that sounds hard and horrible. Okay, then that's telling you something too. But these are all things that could go into your research. What kind of things you study, how much it costs to do this program, what are the admission requirements? So here they're talking about, yeah, you have to have a high school diploma. You also specifically need to have English at level C. You have to have grade 11 or 12 biology. You have to have grade 11 or 12 chemistry. That's something that's really important as you're finishing up high school. Maybe there's some courses you need to take next year in grade 12 that you need to know about now. So this is a great job to be doing and looking into things, okay? I'm going to wrap up because we're getting kind of late. I'm looking forward to seeing all your research projects on this. Thank you so much for showing up, and I hope you have an excellent weekend. And I will talk to you on Monday.